Shoegazing podcast is back. You are most welcome. I'm Jesper Ingevaldsson of shoegazing.com, one of the leading blogs in the world on quality shoes. In this episode, we will go all in on the nitty-gritty of shoe care. And we do this together with Anders Sundström, who has developed the new premium shoe care range Paul Brunngård for the Swedish company with the same name. Paul Brunngård is the largest shoe care company in Scandinavia, but previously focus has been on more basic shoe care products and eco-friendly stuff. But now they wanted to develop their own range of premium products, a task given to the shoe care expert Anders Sundström. We will talk a bit about Anders' background and his work with developing the nicely designed Paul Brunngård shoe care range, and then go into the details of what shoe care products contains, how the various ingredients affect leather, the good and the bad, and so on. If you like when the podcast nerd in on things, this episode is for you. So enjoy your listen. All right, Anders Sundström of Paul Brunngård, welcome to the Shoegazing podcast.
Thank you. It's an honor.
Yeah, it's always nice for me when I can do these type of interviews on home turf, so to speak.
Yeah.
Gothenburg, now where I live in the west part of Sweden, and you're almost from here.
Yeah. I'm actually, just down south of Gothenburg. So,
and we're gonna talk a lot about shoe care. Gonna go into it quite technically on a lot of the technical aspects of shoe care products and the ingredients and all that. But we're going to start a bit talking about you and about the company that you work for,
yes.
Paul Brunngård. But I know that you've been really into shoe care for quite some time. How did it all start?
Well, I didn't grow up in a household full of shoe care. It was, as I joined the university, I was supposed to take the step into manlyhood and gentleman fashion. I got an eye for at least shoes. As most of your readers will know, shoes are a major part of a proper gentleman's wardrobe. And I actually had a friend I lived with. He had a pair of herring shoes. And this was the day about, 15 years ago? And that in Sweden, quality shoes wasn't actually that common. And I was quite fascinated by shoes, so I saved up some money and bought a pair of herrings myself, a pair of Chelsea. And as a nerd as I am, I had to actually care for the shoes. So I kind of nerded myself into shoe care. Tried, watching videos and clips, reading of how you should care for shoes, and it escalated a bit. Space shining and that nerdy part of shoe care, it's an art form, obviously, and you need to learn the basics. And it takes time. It takes a lot of practice. It's like most craftsmanship. But the thing is, as I was obviously studying as a student for engineering, and I can tell you, buying proper shoes are generally quite expensive. So I started purchasing, secondhand shoes. And secondhand shoes in Sweden at that time is quite different from how it is today. Secondhand shoes was very expensive, so I purchased a lot on eBay from United States. Alan Edmonds.
I've been through that process myself.
Yeah. And it was quite funny because I noticed that I could purchase a lot of shoes, from secondhand, quite cheap from United States, polish them up, and if I didn't like them, I could sell them and make small profit. It wasn't much, but it was something. So to finance my wardrobe of shoes, I really got into buying secondhand shoes and polishing them up and selling them. So, but at that time, I really got the time to polish a lot of shoes, and this became the groundwork for both my fascination with quality shoes, but how to polish shoes efficiently and good. And I started up a shoe shining club. It was, as I said, I studied engineering, and you might be aware that engineers are not usually the ones that have proper clothing. I mean,
no, not famous for it.
Not famous for wearing proper clothing. So I was kind of a black sheep around the engineers. But I found, crazy people like myself that mostly studied in economics, that had a passion for shoe care. So we started a club, and this was like 2013 and 2014. So we had a small society when you take a bag, fill it with shoe care, shoes, and go to the polish shoes for 4 or 5 hours, drink whiskey and just talk politics. It was nice. It was a pleasant hobby, but it was still a hobby. Obviously, something I did on the side.
Yeah, and then the first time I met you was in 2014 when we had the first Super Trunk show.
Yes, exactly.
We had it in Stockholm. It was a really big event, and there we also had the first Swedish Championships of shoe shining that sort of set the base for the World Championships and all the other contests around the world. And you were the first winner of that contest. What do you remember from it?
Oh, I remember it like it was yesterday. It was fantastic. You might not understand this, but a lot of people, like I followed your blog. The Shoe Snob, you have shoegazing. There's a lot of fun blogs that Elegant Oxford. I mean, I love Elegant Oxford. Fantastic content and passion for shoe care. So big follower. And in a way, we get a glimpse of you in the blog. But meeting you was a fantastic experience, because you confirmed all the prejudice you had for a nerd like you. But it was really pleasant.
Thank you.
Yeah. But I mean, I do remember the trunk show, and I do remember how my shock actually, because when I did this in this club, social club of shoe care nerds in Linköping, we were still just a few people. And for me, shoe care was just a absurd hobby that like few people had. But I remember entering, the hall with, I don't know how many people was it?
I think we were 700 and it sort of had it spaced for 200.
Yeah.
So it was totally cramped.
Not Corona certified. No,
for sure not.
But it was, I was so shocked entering. There was so many people, and everybody had like, I saw the passion in there, mostly for shoes, obviously not for shoe care, but and I remember, this was the day when like the more exotic brands were very rare in Sweden. You had Vax, for example, which is one of my favorites of shoes, and I was really excited to finally meet them and the shoes, and it was a pleasure. And the thing is, I remember when you started the championship, I said to myself, I had to apply. I mean, I won't make it anyway, but a nerd as me, I have to try. I got into the finals, and apparently, as you said, I won, and I was quite shocked because apparently I was very good at it. So you opened my eyes to that, to be a bit of un-Swedish, good at something, really.
Now it's fun. I mean, for those who don't know, these contests, you qualify by sending in a photo, or nowadays it's more photos of the shoe that you shine. And then you have, during the finals, a few were selected. I think we were 4 at that time. I think Anders Sundström, Swedish menswear icon, was one of the finalists. And but then you have 20 minutes and 1 can, or nowadays 2 cans of wax to shine one completely new shoes. And it's the same in the World Championship contest and all the other ones nowadays.
I mean, it was quite funny, at that time I was a obviously heavy user of Sapphire, and I polished with Colonial at that time, and it was quite nice. It opened my eyes to try our other brands actually. But
with the Swedish champion title, you then were invited to TV shows in Sweden where you talked about and showcased shoe care?
Yeah. So I obviously afterwards I got some invitations to TV4 and I to describe how to make shoes, how to properly care for shoes. And generally, it's not really as nerdy as what you and I would do. It's more general shoe care for the general public. But I was a part of some articles as well. At this stage, I would say, I think it was 2017 when I applied again for the championship again. So at that time, I was not a student anymore, at least. I applied, I got in, but I didn't win. So, yeah.
Yeah, was that the military guy that was part of? Yeah.
Really good guy. And he had some water stains on the polish, but obviously he was better.
He's one of those who get really spit shine over the entire shoe during those 20 minutes.
Yeah. Fantastic work, yeah. But I do remember that was the first time I got to meet Paul Brunngård
because they are like the main partner of the Swedish super trunk shows and the Swedish shoe shining contest.
Yeah.
And so that was when your relationship sort of started.
Yeah, I would say that's the first time I got into contact with Paul Brunngård or the Brunngård company at that time. So at that time, I was obviously just an engineer working with something very different, but obviously still retain my passion for shoe care.
Yeah, and then because I know that because those who don't know, Paul Brunngård is sort of like Scandinavia's largest company for shoe care.
Yeah,
have their own brands and are wholesaler of some brands. But at that time, Brunngård was mainly focusing on like affordable shoe care and more regular stuff and shoe accessories. But now they sort of wanted to revamp both the company and also introduce sort of a new offering that you got to work with. Can you tell us a bit about this?
What happened was that I got in contact with Brunngård after 2017 just to do some TV shows and some articles just to help them. It was just general for fun. But at 2018, actually, they started an idea because they wanted to look into premium shoe care. Obviously, what's happening in this industry is that general shoe care is declining. Premium shoe care has increased the consumption of it. So it was a good idea for them to look into an option as premium shoe care. And since they never really worked with premium shoe care, they wanted someone to be part of that could potentially create it. So they approached me and said, "Hey, we got an idea."
And what was sort of the goal? You said you wanted to revamp things, but in what way?
Yeah. So obviously, a polish is a polish. You can't really say that you're gonna make the super best polish, because usually that's actually a personal preference, which polish is the best.
Yeah.
But I wanted to bring the passion from the heritage shoe care and the passion of making worn out shoes and quality shoes, extending the life with the best material possible, but and for example, spit shining and everything that comes with that. But I still wanted to apply some sort of new design factor and quality craftsmanship to the other things that extend just the polish inside the tin can. Because what I saw in the market is that most manufacturers of shoe care, what they do is they make a good polish, let's say, cream, and they don't really put their energy into the other components of shoe care. I mean, the brush, the box. So they make a really nice cream, but the rest of the assortment is kind of not so good. And the design was always a bit stale. So I wanted to create where an assortment of shoe care with a really nice classical shoe care, which is polish, you have cream, obviously, some other innovative products, obviously, but the products around it would be an up-to-date to the year 2020.
Yeah, because that's what one gets hit by, so to speak, when I introduced to Paul Brunngård first is the design of things. You have a very luxury shoe care ballet box where the brushes and the creams and all that fits, like they have their set compartments, and it's sort of more like what you call looks like home interior concept, something like that in a way.
I thought to myself, why not make a shoe care product that you would be able to place inside your interior that actually is a design object. But here's the thing. Usually when you push a lot of design properties into products, the function and quality usually declines. It's usually
either or,
usually. But I really didn't want that. I didn't want like half good shoe care with a really nice design. I really wanted the passion, the best shoe care I could literally make, but with a really good design. And that was sort of, again, no compromise at all. So that was like one of my narratives in designing the whole assortment.
You're up against quite tough competition with Saphir and Budak, for example.
Yes.
And there you have small terms. If you talk those, you guys have
definitely
design and all that. So how will you find your place in the market, so to speak?
A very good question. As I said, here's the thing. We discussed this quite early. We didn't want to bring in a new Saphir 2.0. Literally. Again, I grew up with Saphir. It's good, literally good product. Bootblack, do good product. Famako, Tooms makes good shoe care. No one will argue with that. The thing is, what other parts do you want to bring to the table? So what I wanted to do is obviously bring in the passion and twist it to something new, and also make a more even assortment. Because as I said, you don't want like the best kind of shoe care that you could have, like the best polish, but then a half good polish enough. Because usually what happens in this industry is that what they do is they create their polish and they go to another company that produces boxes and says, okay, nice box. I put my logo on the box, and then you sell the box. I didn't want to do that. I designed everything from scratch. And this is something that you could see quite uniquely in our assortment, is that there's nothing like it anywhere on earth. Literally, we designed brushes integrated with magnets made with walnut wood, solid walnut wood. We didn't want to compromise on the material. Finest walnut wood, together with craftsmanship in the form of making the brushes by hand, not by machine.
And it was last year now that you launched the brand. How has the reception been?
Quite good, actually. So we try to do a lot of events. We don't currently work with a lot of cobblers. We're more currently working more lifestyle to gentleman fashion customers. And we try to do as much events as possible. The fun thing about the events is we just placed box, the social briefcase as I define it, and it draws by itself a lot of attention. For me, this box is more of a marketing tool than it is a moneymaker, because that's what I would say. The most biggest response has been, this looks really good and it does function really nice for the nerds, let's say, if you're into that. Or if you just, most people don't purchase shoe care for spit shining. That's a very small minority. I love that minority because I'm part of it. But most majority just need to polish their shoe with a
shoe cream.
Yeah, exactly. Shoe cream and a simple polish. And for those, obviously, there are products. And for those that are freaky nerds, that love, part of the product.
I have to. I tried the products and I like them quite a lot. I mean, I'm not fascist to any brands. I usually sort of pick up the thing that's on top of my IKEA box.
Yeah, as you have a box that you know.
Exactly. So that's one reason that I think I use the PB products quite a lot since it's convenient, so to speak.
And you can place it outside without your wife telling you that goes in the wardrobe.
Yeah. Because
that's the thing. If it's outside, they're easier or more prone to be used.
So where can people buy Paul Brunngård? It's in Sweden. We have it in quite a lot of places, but if you look international,
we have Skoaktiebolaget, for example. I know they, for example, sold a full set to a New York customer. So obviously you can buy that internationally from there, from Skoaktiebolaget. But we've actually finally found a distributor in England. So we will be launching PB in England in about 2 weeks now.
Right.
Yeah, the 11th of February. So we worked together with Artiton, which was actually part of Shoe Shining Championship last.
Yeah, they were part of the Supertrunk show in Stockholm last year. Yeah.
Fantastic people to work with because they're. I don't know if they're more passionate than me, but for shoe care maybe I'm more passionate. But they are very passionate and very fun to work. And they work with really quality products. Obviously, I mean they're launching Nakata hangers today in London.
All right, yeah.
In their store in Savile Row. So they
sell Yearn.
Yearn is quality shoe. Yeah, they sell Yearn, Bridlin, and Yearn and Bridlin. So we're gonna launch in Savile Row, and they're gonna handle the distribution and whole of UK. So that's fantastic. And we're gonna be available in the store in UK and launch at the 11th. But internationally, we're currently just trying to find the right distributors and the right customers that can sell PB, because not all brands can sell it. It's still a niche product portfolio. But yeah.
And you're new, so to speak.
Oh yeah, definitely, obviously. And so we need to get a confirmation from the Shoe Nerd Society in a way. But we had some new reviews, some good reviews from some of the influencers, big people like Justin and Fitzpatrick and Shelvedge. It's quite fun to see that the products actually work. Not just by me, but by the people that work with shoe care.
Yeah.
So it's quite fun.
All right. Cool. Let's go over and talk more about some sort of technical aspects of shoe care and all that. So I know you spent now years educating yourself and going really in depth on this topic. And you also, like you said, tried many different things through the years.
Yeah.
So if we start with sort of the ingredients that nourish the leather and moisturize it, what is it that is used in shoe care products for this?
Oh yeah, so the most common I would say is like lanolin, neat foot oil. Like historically, I would say you have the animal oils.
Yeah.
You have neat foot oil, lanolin. You have mink oil. Those I would say is the most historically common oils. We do see a lot of vegetable oils bringing to the market. I mean, almond oil, shea butter. You have coconut oil, and the thing here is not all oils are actually really suitable. And the thing is, if you look at the oils, they're quite different. They have different properties, so they have different optimal functions, let's say. So neat foot oil is quite penetrating and it's quite heavy, but and it will nourish the leather, yes, but it's problematic because you have a higher risk of stains, and the acidity may cause wear down the cotton threads you're seeing. So that's one part. For example, you have coconut oil is also a bit problematic because here's the thing: you don't want oils on top of the leather. You want them to go inside the leather. And coconut oil, for example, have a tendency to stay on top, which causes draw a lot of dust, and it also it also stops breathability in a way. If you have a thicker oil on top of the leather, for example, if you take mineral oil, really good oil if you want waterproofing, literally awesome, one of the best oils for waterproofing. But the problem is that you waterproof the shoe, so breathability will be, it will affect breathability. And the thing is, let's say you buy a pair of Loke or Crockett & Jones, you wear them for business hours. I wouldn't say you want to put a mineral oil on that shoe, because obviously waterproofing is not your main concern. It's extending lifetime and having a flexible, comfortable leather. Mineral oil will keep in reduce the breathability and really good waterproofing. So maybe if you go hiking and you need really good waterproofing, that's a more suitable oil. So usually each oil has a specific optimum of use.
Yeah,
say.
And that's why you see all these mixes of things in shoe care.
Exactly. You want to have the best from each world, and sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. So for example, if we look at mink oil, it has a good penetrating property, and it does have a good lubricating property to moisture the leather in form of making it soft and subtle, and it penetrates into the leather. Again, this is where you can see a bit of darkening of the leather, but just applying a little less, I would say less is more, as usually with most shoe care. So
and what about the more sort of greasy ingredients that nourish, like shea butter and those type of things?
So looking at shea butter is quite interesting. Shea butter consists mostly, I would say, of stearic acid and oleic acid. Stearic acid is very efficient to get up. It does enhance waterproofing. It's harder, so it's more of a wax. But
okay, so this is more towards wax than oil.
I would say it's in between. Because if you look at shea butter, you have fatty acids such as stearic acid that really works well together with beeswax, for example, to create waterproofing properties on top of the leather, as well as penetrating into the leather with oleic acid that really nourishes the leather, lubricates the leather to make it continuously flexible. This is what you usually have in let's say, tanning properties, or when you change the properties of leather, you can use oleic acid to ensure that dusts remain flexible that way.
And we should also mention that that's one of the things that you see in some types of leather, when they stuff it with oils and waxes and that type of thing. What you basically do there is you sort of stuff it with shoe care ingredients in a way, one could call it, just so that you have it already into the leather to a larger extent.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Okay, so let's say you're a person that wants to care for your shoes. You don't really want to put a lot of energy into, let's say, spit shining, or you just want to apply wax, brush it off, like most people do. Not retarded people like me. Is there a problem to have a bit of an oily surface? Not an oily surface, but have more oils ready available on the surface that would provide proper waterproofing? No. But let's say you're like me, that you want to be able to quite efficiently apply a spit shine layer on the top of the leather. Having high amounts of oils on top of the leather is very problematic. It will decrease my possibility to create a spit shine.
Mm. So that's why you don't see it on calf leathers.
Exactly.
For dress shoes.
Yes. So here's the thing. It all depends on your needs, what kind of product you should use. And a more oily or greasy, let's say, product would be very ideal for, I'm going to go hiking. I don't care how I look. I just want to repel water as most efficiently as possible, because that's a really big concern, as well as, keeping the leather with such flexibility to create a comfortable leather to walk in, because a stiff leather is not comfortable.
Yeah.
So that's it. All depends on your view. I would say drier products are usually more prone aesthetically to be good. Oily products are more functional.
So I think we should say that all these are sort of generalizations,
obviously,
because if we should go into every detail, it would be really boring.
Yeah. People will be turning it off and accept that super nerds is like, but he's wrong.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
But the other sort of main part of, if you look at the regular shoe creams and all that, is, as you mentioned, the wax.
Yeah.
And here this is sort of to protect and then also to shine.
Yeah.
But in general, then, as we just mentioned. But how does these work technically, the waxes?
So, so wax mainly, it does, like beeswax is soft and it does have a work inside the leather as well. But mainly what you see with waxes is they work outside the leather to create a barrier. Let's say barrier for water, dirt, whatever, protecting the leather itself. The thing is, all waxes have different function. So obviously there exists a lot of variety of different waxes that you want to put into your formula to optimize your product for the use, let's say. So most people do know like carnauba and beeswax, because those are by far the most known waxes. But there's a lot of other waxes that are used in the formulas. Yeah. That has...
For example, you met beeswax and carnauba wax.
Yeah,
so it's common, and
definitely
the other.
Well, if you look at general shoe care, paraffins are, I would say, mostly used. Beeswax, carnauba wax, candelilla wax, 3 very common vegetable-based waxes. Then you have a lot of mineral waxes, so ozocrite, molten wax. Here's the thing. Okay, so why would you use ozocrite wax in a wax? It's quite soft, not as soft as beeswax, but it's actually quite important when you formulate, because you want a gelling part. Like a wax is not just the wax. You want to create a structure in the wax when you manufacture it, because you want to create a fiber structure that can contain the solvents, because solvents want to get the hell out of there. I can tell you, they want to get out of the tin can. But the thing is, what the wax will do is help to maintain, the oils, which turpentine oil or solvent of any kind is an oil, inside the fiber structure to help to contain it. And to do so, you just can't just put it in a box, heat it, and just cool it, because you have to cool it in a specific way. You have to heat it in a specific way, and you definitely need to have some waxes that work differently. And ozocrite is, for example, one of those waxes. I wouldn't put it on shoes unless it wasn't vital for vital. It can be used. I use, for example, a vegetable version of ozocrite. But so in molten wax, it's a cheap version of carnauba wax. Really brittle, really hard, really good gloss. Problem with it is it tends to crack and it tends to shrink. It creates shrinkage. So you want a mixture of different waxes to create a gel. So this is where the complexity comes in the formulation.
Very complex shoe care products.
Yes.
Because there's both sort of the final look of things.
Yeah.
There's the caring properties of that, and then it's also how it is for you, the shoe polisher,
exactly,
to apply it.
Yeah,
like for example, pure polish products, which to me they actually great results, but personally I have a hard time using them because I haven't found the technical way to use it, and I know many people love them. So they find their technique to sort of use them. But that's also one thing, sort of that. Both it has to match how people, and you have to learn how to mix and all that.
So that's the thing with everything. I mean, every brand of shoe care will always function a bit differently. I mean, it all comes down to user. Some people would say, I prefer boot black. I understand. Some people would prefer Famaco. Some people would prefer mine, the PB brand, let's say. But it's really the thing here is that you have to find your the thing that works really good for you and test. Yeah. So when we created the PB products, the polish is still a polish. I mean, it's a polish. Obviously, it's our own formulation. As I said, we made everything from scratch. So we made it. We looked at the formula that we wanted to make. We adjusted it exactly how we wanted to do.
Can you make it in France?
Yeah. We have a small factory in France that help us to produce our formula. And here's the thing. Okay, so I wanted to bring something new. Actually, I've been looking at different waxes and properties, and the thing about beeswax is quite sticky. It's soft. It's a very important part of the formula because it helps to create a gel and it helps to create a soft wax, a softer wax. Currently, it's too hard, and you need to balance it out with a softer wax. So I was looking at options, and I found rose wax. But rose wax is similar, actually very similar in consistency, melting point, etc. to beeswax, but it has less stickiness. It's a bit drier. Again, I see the perk in the more drier properties. So I wanted to try that out, and we found a rose wax, a fantastic smell. Really, literally smells like roses, but on dope. So we integrated that into most of our products. It's a bit hard to smell it in the polish because you have solvents that turpentine that kind of takes over a bit. But in the cream and the raw iron cream, you definitely can smell the rose wax, and it has very clear natural smell, which is quite nice. No perfumes, just natural. It's quite nice. So we integrated that in most of our products. A bit of a fun innovation. I don't know. It was fun.
Yeah, cool. And you mentioned it a bit, but for pigments in shoe care products, and then we focus on the premium versions there. What is used for this, for the dye, for the pigments?
Well, mostly in premium, there are natural pigmentations. And I would say, here's the thing. What is better, natural or synthetic?
Yeah, that's
exactly. But a very interesting question.
Yeah.
Thing is, okay, so what is the function of pigments in a cream? Because, okay, we already have your pigmentation, polish, and a cream. Creams are usually more prone to pigment the leather rather than the polish. But let's say, you have cream and polish. What's the function of it? Okay, you want to bring color where you have lost. Like you purchase a new pair of shoes, you do not need pigmentation for a new pair of shoes. But one or two, you need to bring back pigmentation over time. Obviously, they are needed. And synthetic pigmentation are a much better capacity to bind into the fiber structure. So that's I would say you would want to use synthetic. Sure, but the problem is when you use a cream, you don't want to paint it. You want to keep the patina of the leather, because the thing about what I've seen with especially a lot of the creams that have way too much pigmentation is that you almost when you over applicate the creams, you almost paint them. And again, it's not wrong. I would say it's undesirable for quality shoes. What kind of leather do you use for quality shoes? Full grain quality shoes, semi-aniline, and you really want to retain that fantastic look of leather. I mean, as it ages, it looks fantastic. If you use synthetic pigmentation, my view is that you destroy it anyway, the natural look. So obviously we're quite prone to, we have to use natural pigmentation.
And I mean, you brought it up several times, but to get all these ingredients to bond together, you need to have a solvent. And what are the most common types of solvents used in shoe care products?
Okay, so premium shoe care usually only speak of we have turpentine, but this is actually the biggest lie I have seen about shoe care. So what you use for solvents are like you have turpentine, yes, which is gum turpentine. Gum turpentine can mean a lot of things. It is actually gum turpentine that you want, because you can make turpentine synthetically, and you can make it from mashed up wood, which smells shit. Sorry about that, but it smells really bad. You want real gum turpentine. And
what is gum turpentine?
okay, so when you create turpentine, what you historically made was you take a tree, you cut up the sap, the tree, and use the resins in the sap to extract the turpentine oil, which is the volatile substance. It's a solvent, literally as a solvent. And the same goes for most essential oils. It's actually, those are made by usually solvent extraction, like orange oil, etc. And here's the thing. I mean, if you take gum turpentine, if you take orange oil or whatever you want to use, they are not healthy. I mean, the health parameters of using gum turpentine is quite severe. A concentrated form, you take a teaspoon of it and you die. You literally die from it. So you have to be quite careful to use these. So what happened in the industry as it modernized, all suppliers of shoe care, none of them, I would say, use 100% turpentine. They use 20% turpentine, and the rest is naphtha, like a classical solvent, like a fossil-based solvent, like made from oil, which is, I'm sorry to say, you can't really make a product that contains 100% turpentine nowadays, because it would be nice. Because here's the thing. Turpentine oil is efficient to dissolve some of the natural waxes, such as, carnauba wax, beeswax, really efficient at it, but you would have such hard classification that you have a death skull, not a death skull, you have quite a hazardous classification, so you would be problematic to sell.
Yeah, okay, because already today, when you use the turpentine starting, it's you can't ship it on plane, it's flammable.
No. Flammable, it's most solvents. I mean, you can use naphtha or hydrocarbon solvent, D40, and make okay polish. But you want to still remain some of the important properties of the turpentine, so you use, for example, orange oil is an alternative, but it's the same issue. It's made mainly of limonen. Small amounts can actually have a health effect. Yes, there are documented uses of limonen, but that's really low amount. Breathing in limonen is quite hazardous, as well as the turpentine. Like that, let's just face it. That's the fact. It's not healthy.
But in modern products,
everybody uses a mixture nowadays. Yeah. So, and the solvent is vital, obviously, during the production to mix the different ingredients, and then you have the application. Let's say you want to use carnauba wax, a high amount of carnauba wax in a polish. You can't really put that. You can't really make a hard wax and put it on the shoe. You have to make it so soft that it's quite easy to put on the shoe, and once it dried, bam, you can apply it. This is where the classical shoe cream came in. The classical shoe cream is actually a water emulsion that uses solvents as well as oils and waxes, which uses water as a solvent, which makes it much more healthy in that way, and definitely more quite easy to use. And use water as a carrier. You use water as an emulsion, to mix the oils and creams. Very much more complex in a way, because you think of it, you want to put something that want to mix with water on the shoe, and then you don't want it to mix with water once it put on the shoe.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's it's quite of a tricky formula. It's just that you have to know what you're doing when you create a good quality shoe cream. Because the big difference between a good quality shoe cream and a bad one is that after you applied it, if you run water on it, it will not protect it. We don't have a barrier of water repellency, and you have it on the best products. Obviously, the bigger brands, I would say, you would have a good shoe cream.
Yeah, and we should all probably mention. I mean, I think many listeners already know this, but also to generalize a bit together, but in general, for the sort of conditioners, you have mainly oils and some waxes.
Sure, yeah.
And it's very often very soft.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of water.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then you have the shoe cream, which is sort of the middle, which has the nourishing oils and the protecting waxes and gives a little bit of shine.
Yeah.
And that's why I often say that the one product that everyone should use on their smooth leather shoes is the shoe cream.
Yeah.
And then you have the waxes, which is the harder, less water, and for more protection and of course the shine.
Yeah.
So that's sort of the generalization of all these sort of ingredients that we've been.
So comment to that. I 100% agree with you there. Here's the thing. If you use shoe cream, which is good, shoe cream does retain the oils. You should always, once in a while, use something that is more caring. Say something that, because shoe cream, it's a compromise with a shoe cream. So, and you wear them out, you dry them out, you will lose oils continuously as you use them. You walk in rain or whatever, you scratch the leather, and you need to replenish those oils that exist in the leather fiber structure. So it's quite important.
And I mean, in my experience and from my knowledge, sort of, since basically all premium shoe care products consists of mainly various types of natural oils and waxes, it works perfectly fine to mix shoe care products, but both sort of between sessions and in one session. So sure. What's your opinion on this?
By mixing, you mean using a polish and a cream?
No. Different brands.
Not a problem. I mean, okay, I'm going to scroll back in my life. If you looked at my shoe valve box that I had, what did I have in my box? I had like 3 different brands of shoe polish, 3 different brands of cream. Generally, not a problem to mix and match. Definitely not a problem. I would say that the biggest mistake would be that you mix cream and a wax. You don't let a cream penetrate into the leather, let's say, before you go into the waxes.
You go too quickly.
You go too quickly to the wax because you're... And the thing about the cream is okay, let's say you have a shoe with perforation. You apply a cream and usually you get a little too much cream inside the perforation. That is a lot of water that hasn't dried. It takes a lot more time to dry. And that would be problematic if you, let's say, go with a Horsa brush, you're going to ruin the brush. But here's the thing. You don't want a lot of a water-based product, because the cream is usually some parts of water in it. And you put wax on top of it. What happens then? The water has nowhere to go except down into the leather. And what happens then? You can most likely get a stain. So just let it dry. Just have patience. With everything, patience is key.
And I mean, in cheaper shoe care brands, one can often find silicones.
Sure.
And, so what's the reason for this?
So then we need to look at what silicone oil is. So silicone oil is a polymerized silane or silicate. And polymerized silicane or silicone oil, they don't really go well with other oils. It's really, really, really good at repelling water. Don't get me wrong, it repels water efficiently. It creates the longevity of silicone is very good. It's not as good as, let's say, perforated products, but it's very stable, and it doesn't go rancid in that way. But here's the problem. So if you put the barrier on top of the shoe, you will decrease breathability. That's one part. People mostly speak of the breathability, but that's not really what I'm concerned about. If you put on a silicone oil on the shoe, it will obviously penetrate into the fiber structure. Now, let's say you have a bit of a dry shoe. You have oils there that are missing. You need to replenish the fiber structure. You put in silicone oil there. That silicone oil doesn't work as the natural oils that you do have that work much better with the fiber structure. And let's say, okay, but then I just apply lanolin afterwards. Doesn't work because lanolin and silicone oil doesn't really go that well together. So you're pretty screwed. once you put on silicone oil into the leather, you can't really undo it in a good way.
Have that barrier which sort of doesn't let the nourishing
so you can't
go into.
penetrate in the nourishing component to ensure that the leather remains flexible and over time. Highly recommend to avoid it.
And most premium shoe care brands avoid it, but in cheaper, since like you say, it's quick and easy results.
Definitely. Again, here's the thing. It's quick and easy. It is, and no one will argue with that because it does work really good to waterproof. But again, leather is a living material, and you don't have a circular story of blood that can bring nutrients to it and remove unwanted components. It's dead in that way. So you need to apply all the nutrients, which means that the nutrients you apply needs to ensure that it comes into the fiber structure. And if you have silicone avoiding the penetration into the fiber structure, because they obviously took that place and they don't want to mix and match, then you're pretty screwed. And to solve, so if you want to remove it,
exactly.
Okay, here's the problem. You want to remove silicone oil. You need quite harsh solvents, like saline or some really, really harsh solvent. Avoid it. But it would be a good idea.
Yeah. So we talk mainly now about for smooth leather or grain leather with the grain side out, so to speak. But if we just talk briefly about care and protection of suede and new book, which is obviously completely different. How does these products work?
Okay, so you have the type of product that can bring some nutrients to it, oils and waxes. Usually they are it's usually a water-based product or a solvent-based product that you apply with pigmentation, for example.
Yeah. But it's not as important because here you don't have the tight grain structure, which is the one that cracks.
Okay, so here's the thing with suede. Okay, if you don't waterproof, you're pretty screwed because it doesn't have a good protection. Skin has a good barrier to avoid water.
Grain,
grain, exactly. But on suede, you have the inside outs. And this means that you have a lot of nutrients that will easily fall out or be potential to be lost. And if you don't waterproof your shoes, this is a big problem. So then that would be a very important step.
That's why the Seinfeld episode with the suede jacket with the water stains from the snow.
Yeah.
He didn't waterproof his jacket.
Exactly. Big mistake. Good reference. But here's the thing. Suede is very carefree. Like if you ask most people, suede, it's so annoying. You can't really wear it outside when it's raining. You can only wear it when it's good weather. It's like, look at the shoe nerds. They only wear suede or prefer to wear suede when it's bad weather. Because a spit shine it's more damaging for a spit shine than a suede.
Yeah, suede is great thing.
Yeah, exactly. And the only thing you have to do with suede, the main thing you have to do with suede is waterproof. Waterproof it. So, just get a good waterproofer.
And how does this waterproofer in general work?
Okay, so there exist a variety of different waterproofers. The most common historically is obviously the aerosols. And I would say historically these have been big superior to the water-based, which is the option. The good thing about a water-based is obviously you can do it inside. You can't do that with an aerosol. Not so healthy for the user, so you can just do it outside. But you need a component to create a water barrier, let's say. And here you have, I would say, three main options. You have waxes, which is wax, beeswax or whatever. Then you have perfluorinated fluorides, PTFE, PFA, PFOA. There's a lot of variety. Those come with quite a big of a environmental and health concern, and nowadays being very restricted. So I would assume that in the future they will be removed fully from the options, but that's an option. And the third option is, use a silicone. And we discussed silicone So if you use a silicon oil-based waterproofer, big no-no. But silicon is actually you can find it in nature. You can find silicon, the silicon component, silicon, in the nature. It's very common. It's not dangerous at all. The thing is, what you make is a polymerized silicon or siloxane, and an oil version of that is problematic because, as we discussed, it will ruin, in a way, the breathability and definitely the leather fiber structure. So what, however, you can use is a polysiloxane or other types of polymerized chains that can, like silanes or siloxanes, that does not penetrate into the leather and create a competition between the oils, let's say. And this is quite complex, but what it is actually it's a long chain of a polymer that has a silicon component of it, and this one will help. It will lay on top of this fiber structure of the suede, and once the water is put on it, it will repel it.
Yeah. But isn't that how most of these work? That they sort of build this shape of
so it builds a
molecules on top of the.
But
material.
what's vital is don't use a silicon oil on your waterproofer. So that would be the mistake. But if you use a silicon-based polymer on your waterproofer, yes, that is not as problematic, I would say. The thing is, I work together in. Not only am I the brand director for the PB brand, but I also help with chemical development at Brunngård. And since I am an engineer and I solve problems, and so what I do now is create new formulas, and I'm working on waterproofers.
Cool, waterproofers.
Yeah, exactly. And here I'm researching to create new potential products. On the side to PB, obviously, it takes more and more of my time. So, but yeah. So,
what's your opinion on using waterproofing sprays on smooth leather?
Call me old-fashioned, but why? Okay, so does it damage? No. Just try to avoid perforated products. You can have a silicone, not a silicone oil, a silane or a silicone-based, let's say, polymer that is not silicone oil. Yes, that is okay. That's no problem.
But the issue could be that you sort of has the problem with the nourishing ingredients reaching down.
Exactly. So here's the thing. Would I recommend it? It's better than nothing. You could use a aerosol that is wax-based. Works wonders. We actually made a really fun product. It's not in PB, but it's a wax-based aerosol that's super efficient to create a really nice shine and a really quick and easy. Just spray it on the shoe, just rub it off, and it looks fantastic. It is just like beeswax and waxes and solvents, obviously, and aerosol. Super efficient, super cool, super awesome product. But I wouldn't use it, obviously, because I want to use my polish in a can, and I want to apply it by hand. It's a craftsmanship for me. But the thing is, smooth leather, just why not use a classical polish? I mean, there exists so much good products for that. But okay, if you don't use anything else and ask, can I use a waterproofer? Yes, you can. Is it ideal? No. Just use polish.
All right. Anders Sundström of Paul Brunngård, thank you very much for being part of the Shoegazing podcast.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, and I hope that all the listeners really take care of your shoes, because I do know, I mean, the listeners to this show have really nice shoes. So just whatever you do, care for the shoes because they look really nice. And
it became quite nerdy in the end anyway.
Oh yeah. Sorry about it. I think
managed to listen to it all.
I think we lost half the listeners halfway through. Yeah, but regardless, I think it's good that people know the technical basics of it.
It's interesting for us.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening in on this episode. In the next edition of the Shoegazing podcast, we will talk about leather. So stay tuned for that. Hear you again soon.